I agree. Like for me though, like a lot of my supply and logistics roles, the sales roles specifically, you same for you, Kelly. They're all remote. So, I can go from US to Canada. I have all of US and Canada free. So that's for me, I can go anywhere. But client wise, I mean they're based all over in Michigan, I probably have 10. The rest of my clients are all over US and Canada. You know.
There's nothing preventing you from jumping on a plane from time to time too.
Oh,
Right?
I go out as often as I can. Any meeting, lunch, whatever, I'm there.
Yeah. And it builds a better bond, doesn't it? And you get
Absolutely.
feel for the person. As well, you can really get down to the fit
Yeah.
of what that company is looking for and then document those things. And I mean, I have a whole series of things that we do when we go on a client visit. So for us, a client visit is not just about, having kumbaya session. It's a tactic, and we've got an agenda that is ready prior to going in. So there's a lot of things we need to uncover so that we can present this role, and especially depending on the seniority level of the jobs you're dealing with. I mean, if you're dealing with under 100K, it's one thing, but over 100K positions, especially in those executive sort of roles, you've got to understand the intricacies of that company and where it's heading to a very, very high extent so that you can then attract the right talent, right? It's easy to attract the unemployed, but that person who's really happy but could make a change, that one there, you better know what their pain points are and how to sell this opportunity properly. And of course, the devil is in the details, right?
Spot on. Spot on. Yeah. Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, Greg, this is awesome. I really appreciate all of the insight, wisdom. So you were talking about you stressed the referrals, and I'm kind of wondering what differentiates your referral questions to make the hiring authority think that you are. What differentiates you what are the questions that differentiate you essentially?
Good question. So, of course, we get into the standard stuff like punctuality, attendance, attitude, ability to work well with a team, how they reported into this manager. But we go a little bit deeper. So, of course, we'll ask, would you rehire this person? Which is always a bit of I'll say ballsier question that HR typically doesn't ask. I mean, they'll say, is this person rehirable on their record of employment? That's the way they'll put it, right? But we get into like the nitty gritty. Okay, so would you rehire this person if you could? Okay, now from one manager to another, how would you say it's best to manage this person? What are some of the things that you did that to manage this person that you could impart us with? Okay, so now I'm listening to the way that the person manages. What was the biggest mistake this person made? And what was the impact on your group? How did they deal with that mistake? And then from there, again, it's in the conversation. You want to make it very personal. It's you got to get away from just like that templated approach, right? You got to have your template, but also go into the conversation. By the way, I open up those calls very open-ended. So I come in, and some people are talkers and will give you everything you need to know with one question. And some people need to be prompted, and it's like pulling teeth, right? So we'll open it up. We'll say, what can you tell me about Joanne? And we listen from there. Here's another question that I'll ask from time to time that's a little bit stickier. Knowing what you now know, what should we be asking you about this person?
Great question.
So that's a question where like now the person's thinking, whoa, never been in a reference check call like this, right?
Right.
Because at the end, going to say, okay, Buck, you know what? Thank you so much for your time. This has been extremely beneficial. By the way, I do tell, just a little pro tip here, I tell Buck that we found her an amazing job so that he doesn't go get the good idea to go and pitch her a job right now because he's got openings. I've had that happen to me. I'm sure you have, if you've been in this game long enough, where the very reference check that you conduct generates a counteroffer for your goddamn candidate. You're thinking, right? I mean, that happens. So I'll make sure to tell him, right? I'll say, Buck, I just want to let you know that I'm very, very appreciative for your time. Thank you so much. We got Joanne an amazing opportunity. She's over the moon. And this reference is the last little piece to that puzzle. I just want to let you know that this is going to be a really good opportunity for her, and they're onboarding her very quickly. Just like that, okay? So that he doesn't get the bright idea to go scoop my candidate now, okay? I hope you've been pleased with the way that we take references. I just want to let you know that, of course, I'm a recruiter in the bilingual space. When I was interviewing Joanne, she mentioned to me that you had 5 CSRs in your group. If you are ever looking to add to that complement, I have a solid understanding as to your client base, some of the issues that they're facing and the calls that they call about. Got some very granular details, so I'd love to work with you. Love to. I think I could find you some great matches. In fact, if you're looking for another Joanne, I have a young lady by the name of Stephanie that comes to mind straight away. Please let me know if you're ever on the market, Buck. I'll send you my information. I have here buck.foley@abc.com. Is that right? That's it. That's how it's done. And then you send.
You've clearly done this a lot. It's awesome.
It's practice. It's practice. You got to practice. I'm telling you, it's the most important call. Listen, we're doing all this stuff to get into a meeting with a person so we can do a presentation. Okay, when you're going into those meetings, guess what? You're already on your heels in the power dynamic. They know they're in control. You want the business. You're coming in having to sell yourself. Okay? This call has nothing to do with that. This call is about you showing who you are in the way that you conduct a reference. Very different than having to tell somebody who you are. You show them who you are in the way that you conduct yourself. And then they see it and they say, oh, okay. Then you send them the email. Beautifully done.
Love it.
You're smooth.
Yes, he is.
Practice, bro. You don't have
But
time.
Greg, got me tell him how many books you've read, and that's why I love talking.
My wife sometimes she's like, Greg, are you okay? I stand in front of the window and I'll practice. I'll practice the lines. I'm looking out like I'm actually practicing. I'm thinking, okay, no, I could have said that better. Like even after our call here today, I'm probably going to analyze what I told you and see where I could have delivered certain things a little bit better. So that self-analysis has to happen at some point where you're looking at the way in which you say things and improving upon it. And if you're not doing that, then you're winging it. And I mean, you better pray that the recipient has a lot of patience.
Spot on.
Yeah, if anybody's read Steve Finkel's books, he recommends recording your conversations and then going back and listening to it.
Did you say Steve Finkel?
Yeah.
He's the original OG. I remember that was the first training I ever got. Steve Finkel. It was the VHS tapes, man. That was the first training I ever got. Was from Finkel. Fucking that guy's the best, man.
VHS tapes. That's fun.
I got you know, is another great guy is Mike Walmsley. If you guys want, I can shoot you over I've got a whole drive with all of his videos, right? Pretty naturally, they're all up here. All the Walmsley videos are up there. All the VHS tapes, sorry, DVDs.
Well, Greg, put them into a freaking MP4 or something, and I can just play it on my computer here. I don't even have a VHS.
Yeah, it's really funny because one of the things that he taught is the 3-dimensional recruiting. So that's really what he engraved in us. So 3D recruiting is the first angle is you looking at the person, you trying to help the person. But your second dimension is that you must always be acutely aware of candidate generation at every turn. That person that you're speaking to had several colleagues in all of the corporations, Are you paying them to find out who those best colleagues were? Who are the ones that you should be working with? Right there, you can generate 2 to 3 candidates from each candidate interaction you have. And then the third dimension is, of course, the business development side, where every single one of the companies that you're looking at on a resume is a prospective employer. I'm telling you, when this really locks for you and you finally go click, you're going to look at every single resume that you look at from now on from the lens of business development. Because you're looking at it through the lens of, can I place this person? Can I make some money now? But what I'm suggesting is that data is valuable because you're now looking at company names that are in your sector. Obviously, you're recruiting that person, so there's a reason why you're recruiting them. Ipso facto, the companies that they've worked for in the past should also be of value to you, for the most part. So getting into one of those companies would be beneficial. If you're recruiting that person, you're going to have to conduct references anyway. Get in there, right? And you can also get information from your candidates. Like you can tell what a B and an A employer. This kind of ties back to, what's an A or B company, right? The candidate will tell you. If I ask candidates all the time, which one was your favorite job out of all the jobs you've had and why? That's one of my key interview questions. And they always point to one of the companies. And when I look at that company, I'm thinking, this is a good company. Maybe I'm going to want to get in there.
Yeah.
Right? Because they obviously loved it there. Right? And then if they tell me, well, this person, no, that president, he's not ethical. That place was a dump. Obviously, I'm not going to market to them. Right? Make sense? I hope this has been helpful, guys.
Very helpful. That's why I wanted to bring you on to have you share with these guys, because Greg's very giving and helps a lot of people too.
Well, like Columbo here, I got one more question, Greg.
Yes, sir.
There's so many different. I'm trying to build a database right now to where I could actually referral that database first before I go into like LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, or other sources like Apollo, to find candidates. Because if I'm already pulling them in once, why the hell am I doing a search again, pulling that same candidate for a later search? So, any advice on how to kind of build that database? You know what I'm saying? Some key tags or anything that you'd utilize for like maybe business development or something you get off a referral or anything like that as far as like a database organization?
Yeah, good question, man. And you guys still have time? I can show you some stuff here. Unfortunately and fortunately, I've been our database administrator as well. So all the technical stuff and getting the database just right has been something that we've done. May I share my screen here, Dominic? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Here, me,
just the one next to the hand there.
Beautiful. Present now?
Yep.
Okay, good. So let me just go into my window here. I'll make sure you guys are going to see the whole thing. Share. Okay, I'll show this again. Oh no, infinity mirror. That's not good. Can you guys see this screen here? Okay, yeah, you can. Okay, good. So this is our database bullhorn. Okay, so you don't need an expensive system. If I was just starting out, I'd find a free system. There are a lot of free CRMs, and then eventually what you can do is you can migrate to an actual paid CRM or find a very low cost CRM, okay, for the recruitment business in particular, okay? So a couple things that we do here to kind of segment our database is we have several different categories. And so if we look at, let me just clear all, I'll show you how many records we have on the candidate side. So on the candidate side, I've got 125,228 records, okay? So the way that we segment our database is we actually have statuses. So whether it's an active candidate, the person's been placed in caution, do not contact, not a fee candidate. So this is somebody we just don't represent because they don't have the skills or communication skills. Open, placed is auto-generated through the system, senior profile for us, and then archive. Okay, so these are the way that we segment the status of that candidate. I've also created a program on the back end that tells us the date of the resume, the last resume, so that we can search the resume's age. But in terms of notation, so I mean, if we were to go into one of the candidate records here and look at the notes, the way that we conduct our activities are pretty simple. So this is a send out. So first interview follow-up is a send out. We've got caution notes. We've got all kinds of notes. Like there's a lot of them. Leads, So this is how the team shares leads with one another. So whether it's a mind lead, a candidate lead, an advertised lead, because we want to know the source of our leads, because we do analysis on where our best leads are coming from. Marketing call contact, marketing call email, marketing call email, marketing call left message. And then the same thing on the recruiting side: recruit call contact, recruit call email, recruit call left message, and sent email and sent Indeed. So we've got all of these statuses, action types, and then MS Teams, all the way to send a fee agreement. So like, I mean, I can go into all of the companies that or the contacts we've been dealing with most recently, and I can search for all of the ones that we've recently sent a fee agreement to. So, I can include any with fee agreement. And I can see in the last little while, who have we sent fee agreements to, these companies, so that we can then promptly go and follow up with them to see what's happening if we haven't picked up the search already. Okay, so this gives you an idea of how to segment your database. So, I mean, you're going to want to know what you want to have to be searchable. Also, you want a system that allows to auto parse. So for us, when we drop a resume into the system, it can parse it automatically. So obviously you want that feature, because you're not going to be sitting there and putting in email addresses and addresses all day. That's completely useless and a waste of your time. So you want a system that's going to be able to read a resume, parse it, and save it into the correct fields so that they can then become searchable. Now, in terms of search, I'll tell you right now, we've been using a lot of GPT to create a lot of Boolean strings. So now for my account executives, for all the jobs that they write up, and so I'll go into the jobs area, show you some of the jobs we're working on right now. So I mean, if I were to look at, I don't know, let's pick one of these jobs, Home Trust, okay? So we're working with Home Trust to find these bilingual customer service reps. So what I've done is I've asked my entire team to create a Boolean string. And so each account executive creates that string, and then we can search, right? So I can search my email with this string, or I can search Bullhorn. So I can go right into the candidate side, I can throw my Boolean in there, search, and I can go through my files. In this case, I don't have any for that particular acquisition. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And by the way, you can do that with GPT. So if you're in GPT, let's just say I was looking for a mechanic. So create a Boolean search string for all variations of a Class A mechanic. Okay, and it'll spit out the string for me.
Do you see that sometimes it doesn't limit it to so many characters? Like it'll blow it up to like multiple characters, and it won't run sometimes the Boolean string in ChatGPT.
Well, I've seen like huge strings. It's just,
Yeah.
will the system take it? Like
There you go. Yeah.
Will
like
the
I know.
system take it, right?
Mhm,
So I mean, the system in this case should.
mhm.
So if we were to test that string out, I'm sure we'll get some kind of returns from it.
Okay.
And in this case, we didn't. So it's too specific for my database, at least. Just to give you an idea, though, of what you can do in terms of search.
But that you hit the nail on the head. Thank you so much for running through that database, because that's where it's. I think part of it is, being. I started a couple years ago. I was all internal. I was recruiting internal for like 10 years in my senior management roles. So I came outside the box about when I was 48 a couple years ago. And so me being new to the environment, the big thing is I used to be a Salesforce admin for 10 years. So I know that the database is extremely powerful if you get it set up appropriately. The last year and a half, I have been focusing on sales navigator, LinkedIn, first connection messages, all that kind of stuff. And I haven't really been focused on that database of bringing things in, so I really appreciate that, Greg.
Yeah, you're very welcome. You need to centralize everything. You need to have your data as well. Your data is a selling point. So when you're differentiating yourself in terms of value, one of the things that I tell employers is we have an exclusive talent pool of 120,000 bilinguals in the Greater Toronto area. And they're like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've amassed this over the 20 years that we've been collecting data. So
Greg, do you guys still post jobs on top of that?
Yep, we post jobs. But listen, guys, I mean, the junk that's coming in now with jobs, like I don't have to tell you. Have you guys seen what's happening out there? Like,
oh yeah.
Have you seen this lazy apply? Like
oh yeah, lazyapply.com, 1,000 jobs at once.
Do you know this is a great thing for us?
Oh, it's amazing.
It's a blessing. It's a huge blessing, because what's going to happen is the wine is being watered. So employers are posting a job and they're getting bombarded with all this crap. They're thinking, what the hell? Why am I going to go work so hard to sift through these 300 profiles? I don't got time to do this. I mean, that's what they're going to say. This is where you come in. I'm going to save you the time and the frustration of interviewing the wrong people. Your time is just too valuable. So if you'll entrust me with this search, I will forge the right pipeline and identify the right talent for you. I want to, and I tell them this, I want to schedule 3 interviews for you. Oh, but we need to meet 10. We don't make a decision before we meet 10.
Yeah.
Okay, is that fixed? Meaning you're not going to change that? No, we have to meet 10. It's our corporate policy. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Charlie.
Yeah.
By the time they meet the 10th one, the first 5 are gone. We know that. And the first one was the one they should have hired. Come on.
Time kills deals.
Why do you need to meet 10? Why? I meet the right girl. I'm taking her. She's mine. Why would I need to meet another 10 for?
Spot on.
So usually I like to consult with the employers, let them know that I'm going to be showing you the top 3 to 5 candidates, okay, that belong in your industry, that belong in your space. And from there, you should be able to find your star. Okay, and of course, we'll listen to your feedback along the way. And then the one thing that I tell my employers, and I'll leave you guys with this thought, and I tell them all this. I say, a maybe is a no. So if at any point you are not 100% on the person that you've met, if your gut instinct is telling you not to hire, or that you need to think about it, this is not the person for you. Okay, I would much rather we continue recruiting until I find you the person that is a heck yes. Meaning, if I told you you couldn't have them, you'd be really upset. That's what I want, because that'll tell me that this is the right person for your DNA, for your ecosystem. At the end of the day, my only mission, and our only mission as professional recruiters, is to increase the talent density of the groups that we are recruiting for. And when you increase the talent density of that group, so what does that actually mean, talent density? What it means is this: when you throw an A player into a mix of A's and B's, you change the power dynamic in that group. You're changing that team's fabric. You're now showing the B's that A's are winning, and that everybody's got to pull up their socks. A couple B's may convert to A's as a result of this. The rest will show themselves, which means it'll make easy work for the manager to identify subpar performers and eventually remove them. And they'll remove them with my help, because once I'm done placing an A and I understand who the B's are, because now I have a mole in your corporation, I'm going to then call you up and I'm going to tell you about how the way in which I conduct confidential replacements, because it seems to me like you may need one in the future. And I do that call very gently. Of course, it has to be done carefully. You have to build rapport to get to a position of trust so that you can actually speak freely, depending on who you're speaking to. Okay. Awesome. I love this job. I hope you guys do too. I mean, I love this job.
I love it.
You know how fucking lucky we are? I get up like this every day. I'm like, yeah.
Me too, buddy. Well, Greg, I appreciate you coming on and sharing. This is amazing. And then I wanted them to meet you, because
you're more than welcome.
You're just amazing.
You're welcome. If you guys need me for anything at all in the future, let me know. Please connect with me on LinkedIn if you want my DJ music, so you can blast your eardrums a little bit. I'd be happy to send that to you as well. If you want the DNA profile that I send to my employers, I'd be happy to send that to you. Whatever you guys need to succeed, man. Let's win.
Love it. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
Take care, guys.
Yeah, really
You
appreciate
too.
it, Greg.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, he's a beast, guys.
That's good. He's no really good, smooth.
That's
And-
why I like
Yeah,
him.
that was a
Just
good
student
call
of the
back.
game.
And he brings back a lot of things that you should do. It's a little deeper, like the
Yes.
reference calls. I mean, as he was doing that, I was going back through some of my old reference that I did, and go back and talk to those people.
How many people do references anymore?
I do.
Yeah.
You know why? Because when I talked to Greg a long time ago, he was like, "How often are you doing that?" I was like, "Well, probably not as much as you, because this guy is just so dialed in. Everything is his whole team is like that." And you know, I've met some of the people that train. Not one person says anything bad about Greg. I love him. And he's a student of the game, just constantly learning, reading, and you know,
Seems like
he's
a
very
sharp guy. I mean, I was in and out of calls, but I was listening to as much as I could, and he's a very sharp guy.
Well, I'll have it upload on the YouTube channel so you can go on there and check it out. But just the way that he frames it, the way that he words it, just
He's slick.
brilliant. Yeah,
He
brilliant.
really is.
There almost should be a must-do from him.
Yeah.
The way he does things and how he sets
Does
them
he
up.
have like any playbooks that he can share? That would be like a recruiting playbook, a business development playbook, like step by step. I sure he has stuff like that. That would be
The checklist.
Yeah.
priceless.
The last time I was working with we were working on some AI stuff, and he's got some bots going on. And, you know, I got my stuff going, so we're gonna eventually meet up again and say, "Hey, what do you got going? What's working for you? Here, adjust over here. Use this." But he's a great guy for you guys to all meet and know, especially if you love the game like I do. You know, and I know a lot of you do. Otherwise, most of you wouldn't be on these calls, right?
You know, that's the thing. Is there's a lot of recruiters that really hate learning. And
Yeah.
as it's changing, they're not into it. And you talk to them, and you kind of
You
think
adapt
that's
to
like
that.
you kind of like feel you're bothering them when you're sharing stuff.
Yeah, that's the fun part, Ernie. You gotta enjoy the journey, enjoy all the stuff that's changing, and how to embrace it, and how to tweak it, and stay above the curve, and all that kind of stuff, man. That's what makes it exciting, right? I think so.
And then you get
Well, I agree.
you get that whole group of people that then say, you know, why are you making it so complicated?
Dean, how do we tell that to like a new person, right? Because like we've been through all that, all of us, right? How do you tell that to a new person that's maybe still short-term thinker, doesn't get it?
I think there are people that
Yeah.
will never get it.
Yeah.
But I think part of that is just the action. You know, I mean, you got to do. You know, just do it. You know, kind of
Action
thing.
is
I mean,
passion.
you're gonna
Dominic, we
fall
spoke
about-
about that. Yeah, we spoke about that, man. Your passion, you can't stop thinking about it. Your wife's yelling at you, stop working. Same with my wife all the time. You know, it's 7:00. What are you doing? Taking calls. My work life doesn't shut down just because it's 7:00 or it's Saturday at noon. It doesn't matter, you know.
No,
But I
never.
also can go if I want to play a game of golf or do whatever you like to do. I can take that time. And my wife says, "But you could play golf in the afternoon, right?" And it's like, yeah, I can, but I'm always working. I'm even working when I'm playing freaking golf. You know?
Exactly. Same here. Sometimes they don't get it. Maybe we should. You know what we should do? We should start a wives group. Here's psychos that are all like me, and talk to their wives. Here you go.
Yeah, right. That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
or a not good idea.
Or a not good idea, right? Yeah, it could backfire.
I think we need like somebody that's already been through it, is successful, and their wife was, harder than in the beginning. It's like, all right, now I get why, right? I see it.
Yeah, it's
What was Greg's last name again? I was trying to get.
Benadiba.
Okay.
yeah, I connected with him on LinkedIn already, so he seems like a great guy. Smart
He
guy.
is very smart guy.
And I like the way he explains stuff. That's a God gift, man. That's you can't just make yourself into that. He's very articulate with everything and well thought out. And it's partially a God's gift, and then he also has that passion and mental capacity to enable himself to do that.
So yeah, and it's like him putting it all together. Just the way that he speaks, I'm just like, Greg, wow, I wish I could speak like that.
He has so much knowledge,
Yeah.
it makes it seem so easy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but just constantly learning. Yeah, I think he's read every recruiting book out there. He's just like us, just constantly learning, trying to get better every day. But you can only do that, I think, if you love what you do.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. For sure.
Yeah. Oh shit! I gotta jump to another call.
Yeah, I gotta jump. I got a final interview to schedule right now. That's what I've been going through while I've been in and out of calls here. All right,
Lock it in.
lock
Close
it in.
it out. See you
Yeah,
guys. Have a
Thanks,
great weekend.
everybody.
All right, guys. High five. See you later, man.